Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here. I'm going to be starting to do readings, a little more readings. I mean, I've got the take a peek into a tarot reading, which I'm really enjoying. I'm hoping to get another one up this week because I have a few more clients coming in this week that have volunteered to share their stories and their tarot readings, which is extremely generous of them. So I want to say thank you for that. I just finished up doing the weekly reading for my Patreon subscribers, so they get a much bigger reading than what I will put up on YouTube. So if you want a more expanded reading, you can either do one of two things. You can subscribe to Patreon. Now there are paid levels, so $3 is the lowest paid level, and I will let you know that it's in American funds, but $3, I mean, I think that's $3.75 or something in Canadian funds. Don't ask me to do math. I'm not good at it, or I'm not good at that kind of math. I'm not sure what the conversion rate is, but it's not too bad. And then there's $11 and there's $33. And you get different things at different levels. So you can check the levels and see what you get. And I might be revamping them a little bit because they do get some extra special goodies in there. So I just threw one in this week into their reading. So they got an extra special goodie that way. So I thought I'd do a 2-card reading. Like I said, they get a much better reading. So that's one way that you can get an extended reading. Or the second way too, and same thing with my Patreon subscribers, is you can book a reading with me. Now you can book a reading either online. I am in Kingston, Ontario, Canada, so perhaps you're not local, and I do a lot of online readings for many people around the world. I've had the pleasure of meeting all kinds of people, which is great. I do travel now and again, not very often, but I do let people know where I'm going, so that if you're in that area and you want a reading in person with Lady Rose, then you can book one while I'm there. But technology is great. We can do it right on a Facebook video chat, because you can find me at Goddess Garage Tarot Parlor on Facebook, or we can book it through, you know, some other form like FaceTime or Zoom or whatever it might be. So reach out to me if you want to book a tarot reading, or if you want to book a soul session as well. Soul session is where I bring in any certain number of tools, or many tools, I mean, that I have at my disposal. It's not just tarot that I do. I'm also a shaman. I'm a 9th degree Reiki Grandmaster, so I can bring in Reiki. I'm a certified angel and crystal healer, so I can bring in crystals, and I can do meditations, and I did a lot of chakra balancings last week. Chakra balancings are a great thing to get at the beginning of the year, because it just kind of cleanses you and sets you back in the right motion for the year. I do recommend a chakra balancing every season, just to, you know, kind of keep things clear and running smoothly, so to speak. If you want to know what chakras are, or more about what chakras are, please feel free to message me as well. So I thought, like I said, I would do a little bit of a reading. So I'm using 2 decks here. The first deck I'm using is the Power of Surrender cards. Now I'm using this deck this week because the moon is just at the beginning of her waning stage, and when she's at her waning stage, if you watch the Moon and Her Magic video that I do have on this channel, you'll see what stages she's in and what each stage means. So when she's in her waning stage, it means that she's starting to purge. She's starting to let go of things. She's growing smaller. She's coming from the full moon and she's getting smaller and smaller. So the moon is a reflection of the energy overall of the universe. So it's a great idea to kind of keep an eye on the moon, because I always say, if you want to quit smoking, for instance, just as a for instance, it's hard to quit on the new moon going into a full moon. So when the new moon starts here, and when you're growing into the full moon, and that's the day you decide to quit smoking, you're going to find it very challenging, because the moon is growing and she's bringing stuff to her. She's gathering stuff in. So it's hard to give things up at that point. It doesn't mean if you're quitting smoking, like, well, I gave it up during the waning moon, but I'm going to start it again during the full moon. No, that's not how that works. But it is a good idea to kind of start it when the moon is waning, because again, she's already giving stuff up, she's purging. So it's a good idea to start your things like that, like I'm giving up debt, or I want to get rid of debt, I want to get rid of smoking or bad habits, I want to get rid of toxic relationships or toxic energy or that sort of thing. It's a great idea to do it during the waning moon. And perhaps to start big projects during the waning moon, like giving up smoking is a big one, and it's something you'll struggle with for a while. It's not I gave up smoking, ta-da, I'm done. And the other deck I chose was Woman's Bodies, Woman's Wisdom. Now, I used both of these decks in the Patreon reading, but those of you that are Patreon subscribers, I'm picking new cards, so you can still kind of get some more insight if you want on these cards as well. They got 2 other cards on top of that, so they get a bigger reading from other decks. But for YouTube, I'm going to be doing a 2-card reading. So I'm going to start with the Let It Go. Let's see what we need to sort of release. I'm going to spread these cards out a little bit. See what comes up. See what comes up for everyone. Ooh. Surrender to receiving and support. Surrender to receiving support and love. Sorry, it's hard to read backwards. And it's 2 polar bears coming together. Oh, it's so nice. So allow the love and support of others in, rather than trying to handle everything yourself. This can take the pressure off and simultaneously nurture you. So I always say one of the most courageous things to do is ask for help. Because when we ask for help, it's actually a thing that people with great strength can do. People who are weak cannot do it, or find it very hard to do. And that's because our ego is in the way when we don't ask for help. So when our ego moves out of the way and we are humble enough to know, I am not all-knowing and all-doing, and I cannot do everything necessarily. That's our ego moving out of the way when we ask for help. So it's a really good shift when you can ask for help and be specific about what you need for help. And allowing someone to love you and to support you. And truly love you and support you. And truly be able to help you. Not just, hey, I want to sell you my whatever kind of thing. That's not asking for love and support necessarily. I mean, it is, for those of you that do it for a living, like that are salespeople, or that is a form of love and support, because it does put bread and butter on your table. But really asking for help that you need. Like, if you're asking for help because you need this paycheck this week, that's a little bit different. And that also is a place, you have to come from a place of humbleness. You're not coming from a place of ego or look at me with my great product. You're saying, I need to eat this week. Would you buy this from me, please? That sort of thing, right? But also in the bigger picture, it's asking for help, around the house. It's asking for help with emotional support maybe that you need. Maybe you're going through a difficult situation and you want someone to help you. Like this week I had a client come in. You'll see the video. It's in the new series that I'm starting, Take a Peek Inside a Tarot Reading. And it was a very brave woman who came in, and she had been a victim of child molestation as well as rape. And she was forced into many other horrible things. She suffers from PTSD, and she has many, many triggers, obviously. And she really, truly feels that she cannot have a normal relationship. She feels she's visiting her trauma onto someone when she wants to get into a relationship with them. And this card might be for her a little bit too, to surrender to the love and support. And that's not always ego in the way. Sometimes it is when we can't ask for help. But when we can't receive love because we've been damaged, because we've been hurt and betrayed, and we've got trauma in our lives that we're still dealing with. That's a fear, and that's a point of weakness, and that's something that we have to address in ourselves. You know, with big trauma like child molestation and rape, that's a process, of course. Again, like I said, nothing's one and done in life. So it's something we have to visit. But that is also such a big trauma that it's not something we should go alone or go through alone. We need to reach out and find people. Luckily, I too have gone through similar situations that this client had gone through, and I understood the trauma and I understood the pain. And she's so brave for sharing her story. You can see it on the video there of Take a Peek Inside a Tarot Reading. But this is something I had to learn to do, was trust and learn to receive love again. And that's a very huge step to do, and to receive help. So that's something you might want to visit this week. This is something you need to what is it you need to kind of let go of? For me, and for my client, it was letting go of that distrust, letting go of knowing that someone hurt me, but not everyone's going to hurt me, you know? Unfortunately, you know, I always use the example of, you know, 10% of the population might be bad people and might hurt you. But if you've been hurt by one of those people, don't paint the other 90% of the population with that same brush. I like to think most of us are good people. Most of us want to help. And I'm truly believing that now. Before I didn't. And when you don't, when you mistrust everyone, it puts you into a weird space head-wise when you're suspicious of everyone, and you can't or you don't feel like you can trust anyone, and you feel like you're making the safe move, and really you're making a very destructive move. So that's something to explore. That's obviously something that needs to go deeper than what I can do in a 2-card reading. So if any of you are resonating with that, please feel free to reach out and we can explore this a little bit more. I appreciate anyone that shares their story with me. Now, okay, so this is the Woman's Body's Woman's Wisdom. So they're kind of interesting cards. So there's a message up top and there's a message below. So the up top message is nutrients, sorry, that was hard to say, and self-care. That was easier to say. So this week is all about self-care. Very similar to what the Patreons got. They got a little more specific card. So it's about self-care, and the message below is flexibility within structure. So make some plans, carve out some time this week for self-care. Every month I have a do nothing day for myself, and I book it into my calendar. I'm like, okay, this is my do nothing day. And no matter what goes on in my life, that is a do nothing day. Now, it doesn't mean I don't do anything. What the do nothing day for me, and I find it really takes some pressure off, is it's a day where I can do whatever I want. If I feel like doing dishes, then I'll do dishes. If I don't, then I won't. If I just want to sit on the couch and binge on Netflix or read a good book all day, then that's what I do. It's a do nothing day. There's no plans, right? But I structure it by booking it into my date book. If I don't book it in, it doesn't happen. And that's one of the keys to success, by the way. They say book in everything into your calendar and you'll tend to get it done. So that's what flexibility within structure means. So find those times of self-care. There might be some impromptu times too, but this week you kind of need to do it with your calendar. Book it in. Say, this is what I'm doing for my self-care. It could be anything. It could be, I'm going to go get my pedicure. I'm going to stay home and read a book. I'm going to, you know, whatever brings you joy kind of thing. An activity that brings you joy. I'm going to journal for an hour longer than I normally would and leisurely sip my coffee or tea while I do it. I'm going to work on that craft project. I'm going to do that art project. I'm going to go out with girlfriends for a drink. I'm going to book it in, and this is my self-care. Whatever self-care is for you, make sure to do it, especially since you got the surrender to love and support. Learn to love and support yourself as well is very important, but also learn to ask for that love and support that you need. So that's the reading for this week. I hope it resonated, and I hope it helps you out. And please stay in touch. Please like this video. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to continue seeing other weekly readings and having more guidance, and also other videos that I'll be putting up about tarot and magic and goddess work and becoming the goddess in your own life. Okay, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you guys later. Bye.